Hello xenographers everywhere and welcome to another episode. Today we're going to look at two of the silliest, wackiest and most wonderful lenses I've ever used, the Olympus OM 50mm and 55mm f1.2. During the film years, f1.2 lenses were often used for low light photography. Commonly available films didn't really go above 400 ISO, so every bit of light you could gather was a bonus. But if the light's low today, we can just whack up the ISO a bit to compensate. Vintage lenses are soft wide open, and the wider they open, the softer they get. Depth of field is razor thin, and focusing can be a bit tricky. So what's the point of an f1.2 vintage lens today? Surely one of the main points about them is blur, because blur is right, blur is good, blur works. And these are two of the blurriest vintage lenses you'll ever see. Right, let's get the technical stuff out of the way first. They're both soft wide open, and the 55's a bit softer than the 50, and they both get proper sharp if you stop down a bit. They both vignette like crazy wide open, but dark corners are gone by f8. Wide open, background blur from both is massive, busy, nervous and wonderful, with the 50mm being a bit better than the 55. There are lots of great lenses that will represent the world exactly as it is, and both these lenses will do that very competently if you stop them down a bit. But open them up a bit and the world looks very different. And that's really what these lenses are about. Using these lenses in the 21st century gives us the opportunity to go beyond mere representation and to present a kind of reality that we don't usually see. A reality that's a little bit magical, a reality that glows and shimmers and is rather more beautiful than other lenses might render it. In short, these are art lenses. And here's the thing about technical imperfections, and these two have plenty of them to a greater or lesser degree. In art lenses, technical imperfections just don't matter. On the contrary, I think they actually improve the lens. In art lenses, imperfections become advantages. Imperfections make the world look different, more wacky, and, in my view at least, more beautiful too. It doesn't matter if it's a bit soft wide open, which both of these are. It doesn't matter if the blur's a bit busy and nervous, which it is in both of these. Each of these lenses gives us unique, beautiful and extraordinary images that few other lenses can make. These lenses don't care what anyone else thinks. They're gonna do their thing whether anyone else likes it or not. They don't pussyfoot around and apologise for their faults. They wear them proudly, blatantly even, and they don't give a hoot for anything else. They're like Lennon and McCartney, or the Gallagher brothers, both great songwriters, both pretty wild perhaps, but one a little wilder than the other. Of these two, it's the 50mm that's less wild, a bit more restrained, and if they were musicians, the 55mm would be sitting in a corner of the studio doing something delightfully naughty, while the 50mm would be fussing about getting the album finished and asking the 55 to hurry up. Wide open, the 50mm's generally sharper than the 55, which really is quite soft, and it does resolve a bit more fine detail. But does that mean the 50's a better lens? Technically, yes, but aesthetically, I'm not sure it does. It's certainly not my top priority with lenses such as these, and I wouldn't shoot an f1.2 lens wide open and expect razor sharpness. What I want from lenses like these is a little bit of magic, and my goodness, they both deliver. If they were students in a classroom, they'd both be sitting right at the back, mucking about on their phones, chucking stuff when the teacher's back was turned. And while the 50's not quite as naughty as the 55, don't worry, it's in on the action. and they'd both be waiting in disgrace outside the headmaster's office at the end of the day. They both do wild things with colour. The 50 gives us vivid and exuberant colours. It loves colour and saturation's turned up to the max. The 55 does the same thing, if anything a little more than the 50. Both of these lenses love colour and paint them big, bold and loud. I've praised Olympus colours in the past, and I still think they're some of the nicest lenses you can buy for colour reproduction. We've saved the best quality, and I think the point of these lenses to last, and that quality is background blur. Just look at it. It's some of the wildest, wackiest, most unruly blur I've ever seen. And though the 50's a bit better behaved than the 55 and can give smoother blur, it doesn't always do that. The 55 is proper far out. It's like the Grand Master of blurry wackiness sitting alone meditating on a hilltop, being all serene and that. And then the 50 climbs the hill and says, "Tell me, O master, how shall I acquire this outstanding level of wackiness in my bouquet?" And the 55's like, "It is to be found in the sunset, and it is in the whispering of the trees." And the 50's like, "I don't know what you're on about, mate," but the 55 just sits there, all mystical and enigmatic and mysterious. And that definitely happened. So, how to choose between them? Well, technically the 50's better, no doubt about it. It's sharper, the blur's less busy, it does wonderful things with colour, and it's smaller than the 55. The 55 is more wild and uncontrolled, unconcerned with convention, out there on its own. This is a choice between wild and wacky, or wilder and wackier, and my thinking is that, given we're already in the territory of the wacky, this is a case of in for a penny, in for a pound. In the film days, when available light photography was much more important, the 50 would be the clear winner. There was a real need for a capable lens with good technical characteristics, with as large an aperture as possible. But today, certainly with vintage lenses, f1.2 is a luxury rather than a necessity, an artistic tool to create unusual and beautiful images that no other lens could make. And that's why I would choose the 55. You, on the other hand, might well think differently. And that's all from me for now. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and ring that bell before you go. And if you like the content on this channel and you want to help it grow and develop, you can do that at patreon.com/Zenography. And there's a link to the Patreon page in the box below. As ever, many thanks for watching, and I will see you next time for some more Zenography.